Last week, we covered the curious case of Jason Araday, who is the youngest Black Cambridge professor, beloved by the media and lavished and glazed with fawning compliments by his older white co-workers, very much a pet of academia and the BBC. And, of course, everything that Jason Araday did was totally and completely fraudulent and plagiarized. Almost 100% AI generated or plagiarized was his entire body of academic work. So it's a total fraud, but not only that, when people started looking into his life story, none of it made sense. He was able to complete 60 marathons in 60 days. That's physically impossible. He was mute until he was 18 years old. He just barely learned to speak. He survived multiple car crashes and lightning strikes and catastrophic events. I mean, the whole thing was absurd and nobody even questioned it, I guess, because he ticked the box, right? And then he was, of course, elevated high above his station into academia, got an absurd amount of pressure put onto him, and it all came collapsing down when people actually started doing what Cambridge should have done, which is look into, who is Jason Araday? Is he lying? Is this real? His story seems completely unbelievable. It's literally unbelievable. It's like something out of a Harry Potter novel. Black Snape. It's can't possibly be real, right? And he was forced to resign after being exposed as a total and complete fraud. And the pressure apparently got to him because he was found dead after recently facing accusations of plagiarism in academic writing. It comes after Cambridge launched an investigation into the allegations. And, now this.
I'm Professor of Sociology of Education at the University of Cambridge.
3 years ago, Jason Araday became the youngest ever Black professor appointed at Cambridge University, an 800-year-old institution.
Professor Jason Araday joins us now.
He was interviewed about the achievement on CBS News.
If I'm being absolutely candid and honest, not many teachers at school had any belief in me.
Now Araday has fallen from grace, accused of plagiarizing some of his academic writing and lying about claims he ran 600 miles in 6 days to raise money for charity. The scandal's front-page news here in the UK, and the former professor of sociology of education has now resigned, saying in a statement that it should not be mistaken for an acceptance of the narratives that have surrounded him.
So the resignation letter was run through the AI detector, and they found out that it was all AI as well. Jason Araday, former Cambridge University professor accused of plagiarism, is found dead. High-flying academic at the center of the Cambridge plagiarism row, found dead. What is this? Unresponsive at a London address shortly after 3 p.m. on Friday. It comes after a tumultuous few weeks in which fellow Dons had questioned the 41-year-old academic's work. It also prompted an examination of his previous academic posts and questions mounted about his academics, journals, broadcaster. Araday resigned his prestigious role. He'd been Cambridge University's youngest Black professor, appointed professor of sociology in 2023. The succession questions of the past achievements, he quit. So Cambridge began their investigation. People went through his academic record, found out he'd been lying a lot. Here we go. What does it say? A man had been found unresponsive inside of a property. Ugh. Pronounced dead. The death is being treated as unexpected, but is not believed to be suspicious. It's being investigated. So I guess we don't know, but you can kind of feel it in your gut. Ex-Cambridge professor accused of plagiarism found dead. So he resigned last week, and then I guess you would just have to assume that he couldn't handle the pressure of seeing his life's work Reports indicated it was likely self-inflicted, but no confirmation yet. It'd be treated as unexpected, but it's not suspicious. Jason Arday were a white middle-class academic. He would have been hounded by the British press. He would not have been hounded by the British press the way he was. My thoughts with loved ones. Okay, so people are now saying it's a racial issue. Incredibly tragic end. Massive questions to answer. Jason Arday is dead. Awful, awful news. Utterly dreadful outcome. Cambridge has a duty of care. I hope that God, they gave him all the support that they could, because this tragedy is on them. Poor wife and children must be given every support. He's dead. Right-wing reaction media did this. Relentless public attacks on what should have been internal university matter, not a subject of mass media frenzy. Oh, blood on their hands? Please. Terribly sad news for the man who was elevated and championed by DEI establishment, only to be left incredibly vulnerable. Serious questions emerged. Jason Arday should never have been put in this position. Everybody deserves better in this case, especially Jason. Okay. It's tragic, and it makes me so angry. Casual observer could see that he was a vulnerable fantasist. A number of people and a number of academic institutions had serious questions to answer. They put him in a position that was clearly not qualified for. So they could have some black wonder kid to show off, and they pushed him into the spotlight for their own benefit. His exposure is inevitable. The case of when, if not, the whole world fell apart. So this is, of course, where I'm going to land. Nobody forced Jason Arday to go lie. The guy went and he did lie, and he did plagiarize. All right. But Cambridge doesn't have to hire him and then make him the cause celeb. They don't have to hire him and then shove him in front of all these cameras. In fact, it's Cambridge who failed here, because they're the ones who gave him the sinecure. They're the ones who gave him the robes and the fancy little hat, the chef's hat and whatever. They made him. They made this guy. And they did it through DEI hiring. And then, of course, because this is not a meritocracy, because they accelerated him well beyond his station or abilities, they put so much pressure on him, eventually the whole gig was going to blow up in their faces. And so what ends up happening? You give him the little staff and little robes and stuff. Like, what ends up happening to this? You know, you're LARPing, eventually reality comes and hits. And that reality is really painful. If you haven't actually earned it, you have to lie your way in, and then nobody checked anything. And it makes you very, very angry. This is like the blood is very much on the hands of Cambridge University that did zero vetting here and just wanted to be able to notch in their belt, you know, an intersectional DEI gold star for them. And now look what you've done. I guess it's hard to, you know, hard to say anything other than you pray for the guy's family. It's awful, awful. This is why you should hire based on merit. This is why you should hire based on ability. And this is why you should be thorough in these things, not hire people based on skin color. It's an awful way to do things. Awful. It's your boy Benny. Like, share, and subscribe.